Hello everyone, your kaiju consultant Kevin Carpenter here. We just want to let you know that we have recently released a new bonus episode where Kayla and I review the 1958 American kaiju film Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. If you want to listen to that episode, along with the rest of our bonus episodes, check out our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Digital Kaiju Studios. And if you want to support this podcast for the low, low price of free, consider leaving a comment, telling a friend, and hitting those like and subscribe buttons if you're on YouTube. We appreciate every bit of support. And now, let's talk about Godzilla. Hello everyone, and welcome to Gorilla Whale, a Godzilla watch-along podcast. I am your kaiju consultant, Kevin Carpenter.
And I am a cockroach in the form of human skin, Kayla Knutson.
That will only show in shadow. We can't make the
No, they show the cockroaches.
They show, like, actual cockroaches, but I don't think they ever make, like, a cockroach suit. Like, they don't have them walking around being all, I'm a cockroach alien.
Yes, but when they die, the human form fades away to reveal the giant cockroach.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that's when they're under the rubble, and so the suit doesn't need to move around and actually interact with things.
Yes.
God, this movie. Welcome, everyone, to our episode where we talk about Godzilla versus Gigan, aka Godzilla on Monster Island, released in 1972. And this movie introduces an incredible character in the Godzilla franchise pantheon, rogues gallery, Gigan. Gigan is cool. This movie is not, at least in my opinion.
No, I would agree with you.
I don't even want to say there's a lot going on in this movie. There's just, like, this movie.
There's not. And I got bored and zoned out for sure.
Yeah. And amazingly, this is a movie where it has, like, 4 different kaiju fighting. We're full kaiju wrestling here. We have a tag team between Godzilla and Anguirus versus King Ghidorah and Gigan. And these monsters move so slow during these fights that, like, in the middle of all this going on and explosions and fire, I am like, man, when is this gonna be over?
Yeah, I started thinking about my grocery list for sure during the fight scene. It was long, protracted, some might say.
I need you to know, audience, my process with these episodes is usually I will watch the movie, and then later when I'm writing the summary, I will be playing the movie in the background at 2 times speed. And this movie at 2 times speed, those fight scenes are still too slow. I looked over at the video, and I was just like, wait, hang on, do I have the right setting going on right now?
I mean, this is wild, because I opened up, I went to play the video, and I saw 1 hour and 30 minutes, and then I thought to myself, I love when movies were 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I'm so glad that we're beginning to see a return to this, thank God. I swear to God, that movie took 7 hours.
It felt really long. And a lot of it was stock footage.
It felt longer than Son of Godzilla.
That's saying something. I hate this. I hate that as we go further in the Showa era, I keep saying nice things about previous movies that I hated. But you're right. I would rather watch Son of Godzilla again than this movie.
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say that. I said that it felt longer than Son of Godzilla.
Okay. So that was a true statement that I made. What about you? Would you rather rewatch Son of Godzilla or Godzilla vs. Gigan?
I would rather rewatch this.
Really?
Because this, I would disengage enough to zone out and start daydreaming. I think Son of Godzilla would I'd be just kind of annoyed again for an hour and a half.
I think every time they cut back to Manila and then they start playing those tubas, I would also be wrenched from my daydreaming, like, damn it.
It really, we talk about some of the other movies have so much going on. It's like 7 movies packed in one movie. this movie could have used more movie, I'd say. I don't know. I didn't time how long the kaiju fight was, but it was quite long, and it felt like it wasn't... A lot of the times in these kaiju versus kaiju movies, it seems like there's, a little bit of a fight, and then we stop fighting, and a little bit of a fight, and then we stop fighting. You know, more plot happens, and then we fight again. And this one felt like we didn't do that. It felt like we just kind of stopped and then was fighting for what felt like half the movie, and then it was over.
Yeah.
The pacing was not
The pacing
great.
was weird.
Well, how about this? How about we return to format, and you do the summary, and then we go back into tearing the movie apart?
Certainly, that sounds good. Let's return to format real quick.
Because I was just about to go into the laundry list, but you know what? And I feel like we're really preemptively... I feel like people are like, oh man, they're really going to tear into this one. And I actually don't have... And I say this every time. Oh, I don't have that much to say. It's going to be a short episode. And then Kevin sends me the edit, and it's over an hour. And I'm like, what happened? Anyway, do the summary, Kevin. How about that?
So real quick, before I get into my written historical context, there's a little factoid that I need to throw in that I don't have like written down. But basically, when they were writing the script for this movie, they had like 2 separate treatments going on for it at the same time. And, you know, sources are all over the place on what was actually in those 2 separate treatments. But they did try to do a bunch of different stuff. But we are in peak short budget era of Godzilla. The budgets are even... You know what? No, I'm just going to go into the historical context right now. This historical context is brought to you in second person. You are producer Tomoyuki Tanaka. You have been producing Godzilla movies since the original one in 1954. You decided to give up-and-coming director Yoshimitsu Banno a chance at directing a Godzilla film. Then, because of your declining health, you were hospitalized for most of the production. When that movie eventually came out, Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, you witnessed a nightclub of young people suddenly grow fish heads on screen. Then you saw Godzilla use his atomic breath to fly through the air. You did not like these decisions. However...
Cowardice.
However, Toho...
Why are you afraid of art?
However, Toho still has the mandate to pump out a Godzilla movie every year. You need another director. Ishiro Honda is doing his own thing, and Banno is right out. But didn't you have a Godzilla director lying around somewhere? That's right, you decide to bring back Jun Fukuda, director of Ebirah, Horror of the Deep, and Son of Godzilla. Jun Fukuda had previously jumped in when Godzilla budgets were tight, and now they're even tighter. What else can you do to loosen the budget? Okay, let's bring back kaiju we already have suits for. Not Rodan and Varan, though. Those suits are destroyed. Let's bring back Godzilla, Anguirus, and King Ghidorah. Let's also use composer Akira Ifukube's music for the movie. You know, all those big anthems with the triumphant trumpets and dramatic horns. Yeah, let's just use those, even for scenes that don't make sense. You also decide to use even more stock footage from previous films. But now you run into an issue. The big action scenes in this movie take place at night, but all the previous movies take place during the day. Just slap a dark filter over everything. It'll be fine. It is now 1972. Built in a cave with a box of scraps, Godzilla vs. Gigan releases.
I don't have any clever words. Because this movie felt like it just bounced right off of my brain. You know? Like, I didn't enjoy Son of Godzilla. I understand its appeal, but it was not personally for me. However, I was able to grab onto things. With this movie, it bounced right off my head. Right off my little tiny cranium with how little it felt like was actually going on. There was an environmentalism message, though.
A small one. Blink and you miss it. The aliens are from a planet that was totally polluted, using stock footage from Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. And they were like, yeah, our planet was messed up, so we're coming over here to bring absolute peace to this planet. We'll get into that, I guess. But yeah, this movie isn't really about much else, is it?
No, I mean, I didn't feel like there was even that much character development for the humans, you know? Which is a shame, because I feel like they really could have had something with this human cast. There was this cast of humans was full of potential. And we'll get into that. How about we do the plot summary?
Yeah, there is definitely a mandate to move away from the human characters in these movies, especially as they're marketed more towards kids, but also because the budgets are tightening, they're no longer employing their stable staff of A-list stars, and now it's just like nobody freelance actors.
I mean, that's fine. I didn't think they were phenomenal, but I didn't think that they were that lacking. But the problem is, let's just go into the plot summary, because I don't want to...
Hey, Kayla? I appreciate going on this journey with you.
Every time I'm halfway through one of these fucking movies. When do I get to watch Shin Godzilla, Kevin?
Much later. That came out in 2016, I believe.
No Godzilla viewer has suffered the way I am suffering.
Well, let's get into it. We open on a shot of Godzilla, and then shots of a dark control panel, and then shots of dramatic manga panels. Manga panels. I call myself a nerd.
Oh my god. Wow, you're like everybody's mom. Where's the manga?
I apologize, audience. So we cut over to dramatic manga panels of people shouting at an approaching monster. We then cut to manga artist Gengo Odaka, who has not yet drawn the approaching monster, despite right now presenting the pages to a comic editor. The editor tells him to get out of his office, and Gengo leaves dejected. His girlfriend, karate black belt Tomoko, who is way out of Gengo's league, encourages him to apply for a job designing monsters for an upcoming amusement park, World Children's Land. The amusement park's key attraction is a Godzilla tower, designed in Godzilla's likeness. This monster has a body count in this world, and children love him.
The tower also, is it like I never quite understood what it was. You climb all the way up the tower. Is it like a slide inside? Like you enter Godzilla's maw and get to go through an intestinal, like, super slide? Or is it just a giant Godzilla tower?
They don't really show the ride portions of it. It really just looks like a Godzilla tower, because it also looks like they do business in there.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's actually a ride.
Yeah, it's just an attraction. Here's a giant Godzilla, like, holding onto a building. Look at it. It's so cool.
I was about to say, that's so stupid. Who would ever do anything like that? And then I remembered that, like, people used to go to the top of the Statue of Liberty all the time.
Yeah.
Do they still do that?
I don't know. I know
they reopen that?
They put a fence around it, I believe, around, like, 2018 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, though.
Around the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah. No, sorry. I was thinking of the Eiffel Tower. I don't know why. No, people still go to the Statue of Liberty.
That's another thing. People go to the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I guess. You go up and then you look around and then you come back down. So I guess theoretically you could do that in a children's amusement park. Go to the top of a Godzilla tower, look around, take a picture, and come back down. That could theoretically be an attraction.
I mean, I think it was Busch Gardens who had like a tower in the center. That was one of the big things, was you could go into the tower and then go up to the top, and then you could see the whole park from the top of the tower. And there wasn't like a drop ride or anything like that. That said, if an amusement park has a Godzilla tower, I'm expecting that to either be an incredibly radical roller coaster or one of those like drop towers where it brings you all the way up and then drops you down and then brings you up and back down again.
Could you imagine though if it was like a big slide coaster of some kind where you do enter Godzilla's mouth, and again, Godzilla has a body count in the thousands, if not, potentially millions. And then they made an attraction where you get eaten by Godzilla.
So there is a Godzilla amusement park ride at, I don't know how to pronounce that, Sabuen. An amusement park in Japan, there's a Godzilla ride, and it's one of those ones where you're in a cart and then they have the screens all around you, so it's like that 4D experience. Like the Spider-Man ride.
Ugh, I don't like those kinds of rides.
Really?
No, they make me sick. I want like an actual roller coaster. Yes, I get nauseous. Regular roller coasters are totally fine. These like 4D, like all the screen things, they just make me sick. Second, I meant like in universe. If the Godzilla ride was in universe and it was a whole thing where you go to the top of the tower and then you get eaten by Godzilla, that'd be fucked up because in universe, well, he doesn't eat people, I guess, so maybe it would be fine. That's right, listeners. I've not forgotten that Godzilla is not eating people. There's just been other problems. I haven't been able to worry about the Godzilla ecosystem and biology.
We need to get a crowdfunder going where it's just give us money to send Kayla to the Toho offices so she can kick down a door and be like, Godzilla needs to eat people.
I think he should eat people. This movie would have been better if he ate people.
Yeah, it's like the 11th hour, he's getting his butt kicked, and then he just like grabs a human, eats it, and it gets like supercharged like Popeye.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick.
I stand by that.
So anyway, Gengo, the manga artist, begins to notice some strange things. His boss, Kubata, constantly talks about absolute peace. The chairman of the project, a 17-year-old named Fumio, has a swiveling desk like a Bond villain. And one day, Gengo notices a young woman run out of the company's office, dropping a mysterious tape as she leaves. That woman is named Machiko, and she and her hippie flower child friend Shosaku return to hold Gengo at gunpoint in order to get the tape back. Gengo faints, and then wakes up at Machiko's apartment. Turns out, the gun was actually a corn cob, and Gengo wasn't really in danger. Machiko explains that her brother, a computer technician named Takeshi, disappeared while working for the amusement park. She stole the tape, believing it could have information about her brother's whereabouts. The gang plays the tape, but it only plays a frequency they don't understand. You know who else hears the frequency? Godzilla and Anguirus, who are hanging out on Monster Island. Just like all monsters attack, the island is just a place they hang out, not a prison that is being run by the UN in the far-off year of 1999. Hearing the frequency, Godzilla and Anguirus talk to each other in big comic word balloons and record-scratching sound effects. Godzilla...
When that happened...
Yeah.
When that happened, I literally shouted, "Oh my god," in my room. I was flabbergasted. I was blown away. I don't know how I actually feel about it, you know? It was my gut reaction, one of not embracing the change and evolution of a franchise. Was I being a critical stick-in-the-mud fanboy that can't accept the evolution of a franchise and wants everything to be the same and every movie to be the same as the original, even though they'll never be as good as the original because I watched the original when I was 10? Or is it actually stupid? I don't know.
I'm leaning on the end of stupid, just because, like, they have the big comic word balloons, and then their voices are, like I said, record scratches. Like, it's like, or something like that, rather than, you know, their roars, their Godzilla and Anguirus noises already.
I mean, they had to hand animate those cartoon bubbles on there, and I feel like the money that they spent doing that, not that I imagine it was particularly a large chunk of the budget, which was apparently 1.2 million. I don't think it was a huge chunk of the movie's budget, but it is one of those things that was completely unnecessary, I think, actually, and they could have used that money towards literally anything else to make this movie better.
Yeah. So Godzilla tells Anguirus to go to Tokyo and investigate what's going on, because I guess Anguirus is Godzilla's lackey at this point. But hey, they're friends. Meanwhile, Gengo breaks into Godzilla Tower and finds evidence Machiko's brother Takeshi is being held captive. They also investigate Kubata and Chairman Fumio. The gang discovers that Kubata and Fumio died exactly 1 year ago. But if that's true, who have they been working with? It turns out Kubata and Fumio have been body snatched, and they are actually cockroach aliens from the M Space Hunter Nebula. The Nebulans planet suffered from extreme pollution, and now they look to take over Earth. At one point, Kubata tricks Gengo by gifting him a pack of cigarettes with a secret transmitter inside. Kubata and his goons then track down Gengo and attempt to take the tape they stole back by force. But thankfully, Gengo's out-of-his-league girlfriend Tomoko uses her black belt skills to beat up all the goons and save her boyfriend. I need to pause real quick, by the way, because this is a sticking point for me. At one point, Gengo shows off these two monsters that he has drawn, and one of them is a homework monster, and the other is a monster that's like called Mamadon, and it is a overbearing mother monster, and it is designed after his girlfriend Tomoko. Like, she's wearing the same shirt as the monster's scales.
In fact, I'd like to back it up even a little bit more, Kevin.
Please do.
To, if since you brought it up, I was going to wait until the summary was over, but let's take this is one of the films I think we can break the format a little bit on because, yeah. So, the very beginning of this movie is Gengo trying to pitch his manga to an editor, and the editor is basically like, well, where's the rest of it? And he's like, oh, well, there's going to be these two monsters because these kids, they don't like homework and they don't like their strict mothers. So the monsters are going to be the homework monster and the mom monster. And the editor is like, that's stupid. And he hasn't even finished the comic, by the way. He's presenting an unfinished work and then he's pitching stupid monsters. And they're like, get out of here, go. Yeah. And then he leaves and he goes to complain to his girlfriend, like, oh, I didn't get that job. Like, what's the next one? And she's the one that's like sending him out for these jobs. Like, he's not taking control of his own life and career. He's making her do it and like job hunt for him and then send him off and then complaining about the jobs she's finding for him. And she's like, well, you could work construction or it's like some sort of construction or development job. And he's like, oh, what would I be doing? Shoveling dirt? And I just wanted to be like, well, then you should have finished your fucking drawings if you didn't want to shovel dirt. How about that? 2, flesh out your characters better. 3, yes. Then he calls her Mamadon. And it's like, oh my God, are you kidding me here? You are one of those guys that like self-sabotages by not actually completing all of your work. You think that your shitty ideas are good. You can't take constructive criticism. You can't keep a job. And you're relying on your girlfriend to get you these jobs. And then you resent her for trying to help you find work when you clearly need a job. And then we find out she's a black belt in karate. And we're like, oh, okay, so she's like way cooler than he is. And then later, he's like drawing the monsters for the amusement park because the aliens are like, yeah, sure, we'll believe this, whatever. I don't know why the aliens have hired him as a concept artist because, like, it's never fully explained kind of what the whole alien plan is with the amusement park. It seems like, well, they're using Godzilla Tower. It's going to be like a big radio tower to control the space monsters or whatever. So presumably they have either taken over the construction and development of this theme park or they started it themselves and have accomplished it in this year. Maybe. I don't know.
It's a very underpants gnomes kind of situation where it's like step 1, build amusement park. Step 2, step 3, world domination.
And they decided to hire a concept artist for monsters that they wouldn't need because they're not actually going to open this park. But we have a plot to get to, so don't think about it too much. And he's like, yeah, it'll be my homework monster and my strict mom monster, who is my girlfriend, which, again, it's like, do you not like your girlfriend? Like, if you don't like your girlfriend, you should break up with her. Making her the nagging mom. You know me, guys. I was livid.
Get his ass, Kayla.
I was livid because I was like, this again? This shit again? Why do we keep doing, like, I don't understand why we have, it was like the toy inventor from, which one was he in? The loser toy inventor.
Oh, the loser toy inventor from Invasion of Astro Monster, right? The one with the
aliens? When we had the cool hot astronauts. And then we had this loser toy inventor. And I'm like, listen, we can have loser representation. I love some good loser representation. But this guy was just, he seemed really like he had nothing going for him and was very inactive in his life and didn't really like his girlfriend. And I'm like, honey, you're better than him. Dump him, whatever.
So fun fact, in the original movie, there's that scene where the comic editor tells him to kick sand and he leaves and then he's talking to his girlfriend. He's like, I didn't get the job. And she's talking about like, well, okay, well, I set you up with an interview with the amusement park people and she's actively helping him and he doesn't like that. So he, like, under his breath calls her Mama Don.
Yeah.
In the English dub, they just changed that to him calling her a bitch under his breath.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane. Why? I don't understand. Like, do they think that this is relatable or something? Like, I don't understand these choices. Because, again, this guy is supposed to be... It's like, oh, he's maybe, he's got flaws, and maybe his character arc is going to be taking control of his life. But then it isn't, because, like, the humans don't really get any actual, like, plot.
No, he doesn't get an arc. No one gets an arc.
Yeah, no one gets an arc. So it was very silly. It just felt like some unnecessary, strange sexism that somebody was, like, working out in the movie. And yeah, so one of the monsters is just the strict mom monster that he comes up with. And what? I get that it's the 70s and it's like a different time. It still felt so weird and such a strange to design the strict mom monster after your girlfriend. There's some levels of psychosexual going on here that we do not explore, obviously, because this is not only a children's movie, but a kaiju movie, and we're not doing that here, apparently.
Yeah.
Although I think that there should be more room for psychosexual exploration in kaiju movies, and I think that Guillermo del Toro would agree with me on this. But yeah, I hated it. I hated it. I hated the whole thing. And then she carries them later on. She saves everybody's asses and totally carries Team Human to victory. I mean, Godzilla really carries everybody to victory. But, like, she saves everybody. And he continues to be, like, meh,
Also, I'm just going to be a guy real quick.
Sure.
Tomoko is also the hottest woman in any of these Godzilla movies so far, which makes it even more infuriating that she's with this loser boyfriend. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's not attractive. Like, he's good looking. He's not,
He's got the
a
bangs.
supermodel.
Yeah.
He's got nice hair. He's good looking.
But he's like a 6, maybe a 7, and Tomoko's like a 15.
Yeah, he's not really bringing anything to the relationship here. She's doing a lot of work. Oh, and then so he goes to the amusement park, interviews, comes back, and he's like, yeah, I don't know about that job. And she's like, well, what's wrong with it? Like, they want to pay you to draw. And he's like, they're absolute peace thing. Like, basically, he's like, I don't know, it's like bad vibes or whatever. And it's
Literally.
like, I hate it because he's right. He's right. But also, like, he doesn't know that they're cockroach aliens. So he's not right,
No, it's like, literally, I just got this big job to draw monsters for an amusement park. But I don't know, man. The vibes are kind of off. I don't know if I want this job. And it's like, dude.
Like, it's a job.
It's
okay?
a job.
We've all worked jobs where we don't love the vibes, but we need to put food on the table. Except he's totally like an unemployed loser mooching off of his hot karate chopping, badass model girlfriend. I don't know what she does for her work. I assume cure cancer. Like, what is going on here? How did you land him? Like, did she lose a bet? Does he have 6 months to live? Like, I just.
So yeah, I want the unauthorized sequel where it turns out she's also secretly a Zillion or something like that, and this is part of the second invasion effort. Something along those lines. I don't know. Where was I? Right. Okay, so while all of this is going on...
Yeah, he's being a loser.
Yeah, Gengo's being a loser.
Negative. Not affectionate.
While all of this is going on, Anguirus swims ashore in Japan on his scouting mission. The Japanese Special Defense Forces meet him with blinding spotlights, missiles, and lasers. After taking all of that to the face, Anguirus swims back to Monster Island.
It is really funny, though, actually, because it's like, Godzilla is like, hey, Anguirus, there's weird sounds. Go check it out. Anguirus goes checks it out, gets kind of beat up. I mean, like, he's fine, but he does get missiles to the face, you know? So
Yeah.
bruised, maybe. It comes back to Monster Island and was like, shit's bad. They're mad.
Like, he literally, he gets out of the water, gets shot at by a barrage, and then immediately leaves. Like, he's not even there to rampage. He's there to check out what's going on. But
I mean, to be fair, the humans don't know that because the humans can't read the speech bubbles. Oh, also, I will say this. When the hippies meet Genko, they take him back into his room, right? So he faints because he thinks he's being threatened with a gun, which, fair. I'm not gonna rag on him for that. And then the hippies take him into his room. I guess maybe they dug out his keys or something. He wakes up. They're there. It's all like, no, we're not thieves. We're not thieves. They introduce themselves and, like, because it's Japan, you know, they bow, of course. So they bow and introduce themselves. And then he bows back and introduces himself. And I thought that was so funny that they're in the middle of this, like, that was a wonderful comedic moment. Whoever wrote that scene, I was like, this is the best scene in the movie. Some genuine comedy. And I thought it was really good. So I did want to highlight that. There was some real comedic moments in this film that was otherwise just kind of meh.
I also thought it was really funny when Anguirus just comes out of the water and then immediately gets shot at. And he's like, oh, come on, and just immediately leaves.
Yeah.
To be a part of the Japanese Special Defense Forces in this world, getting the kaiju call, like, there has to be a club. Like, there has to be a bar where you could go into and be like, yeah, I was a part of Godzilla versus Mothra back in the day. I lost my arm to Mothra's poison gas, but I'm alive. And then to get the Anguirus call, like, that's oh my god, if we get the Godzilla call, that's a suicide mission. But if we get the Anguirus call, we might have a chance, boys.
Well, it is kind of funny because so much of the time now, I guess maybe they're guessing, like, oh, is this one going to attack us? Or is this one going to fight a bigger monster that's about to appear or something? You know, like, there is that.
The let them fight directive.
Yeah. I don't know. It's got to be quite strange.
So the human crew attempt to break into Godzilla Tower once more, but they are captured by the Nebulans. The Nebulans reveal their plan to take over the world through building amusement parks, though they don't really expand on the plan from there. They also reveal their ability to summon space kaiju by playing their special tapes. These space kaiju fly to Earth to destroy Tokyo, so I guess we're just kind of throwing away the amusement park plan here. And the space kaiju reveal themselves to be none other than King Ghidorah and a new kaiju named Gigan. Gigan is a weird cyborg goose kaiju with the proportions of a rubber chicken, along with a cool red visor, blades for arms, and a buzzsaw coming out of its chest.
I didn't realize it was supposed to be a goose. I will say I can understand the appeal of Gigan to children because he looks like, and this is a compliment, really. He looks like an 8-year-old drew him.
Yeah, you look like all the rest of the kaiju, I mean, except for Hedorah and probably a few that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Like, they look like giant beasts. Like, Godzilla and Anguirus are dinosaurs, Mothra is a moth. Even Ghidorah is, a dragon, albeit with 3 heads. Gigan, you look at Gigan and you're just like, that's not natural.
Gigan came off of somebody's crayon drawing that was pinned to a fridge and into the movie. And again, this is a compliment. I think Gigan is sick. 8-year-olds should design kaiju more often. And
speaking of the Goose inspiration, from Wikizilla, Gigan's Japanese name, Gigan. Okay. Let me do another take on that.
No, keep that bewilderment.
Well, yeah, okay. Anyway, Gigan's name was derived from a nickname for actor Yujiro Ishihara, nice guy, combined with the word for goose, gun. Guy, gun.
Huh.
Goose guy.
What is this movie?
That is, by the way, sequel podcast instead of Gorilla Whale, Goose Guy. Or Guy Goose, I guess. Anyway.
Carry on.
I tried to anyway myself out of laughter and it didn't work. So, it should be noted that King Ghidorah and Gigan are introduced as motionless wooden models being flown around like a toy plane. At one point, they circle Godzilla Tower, and the shot makes them look incredibly small. King Ghidorah's wings also barely move in this movie, even when he's in the full suit. I cannot stress enough, this movie is somehow even cheaper than Jun Fukuda's previous Godzilla films. The human crew escape from Godzilla Tower, just as Godzilla and Anguirus arrive on shore. It's time for a 2-on-2 kaiju match. Gigan turns out to be a powerful opponent, using his blade arms and buzzsaw chest to actually draw blood on Godzilla and Anguirus. It also turns out that Godzilla Tower was secretly a giant laser made to kill Godzilla, and now that laser is firing on Godzilla as well. Anguirus attempts to help his comrade and takes a buzzsaw to the face for his troubles. But by God, is Anguirus there for his boy.
It is really fun. They're like, we would like to build a weapon to kill Godzilla. Because obviously the plot of the evil aliens that want to take over the Earth involves killing Godzilla. Which is ridiculous because Godzilla would totally stay out of their way if they didn't involve him.
Not at this point. Godzilla's basically a superhero at this point in the Showa era.
That's true, I suppose. I mean, they did call him, though.
True.
Like with the tape.
I think that's just kind of a thing of they're going to try to take over the planet, and Godzilla lives on the planet. So the Nebulans, smartly, are like, eventually we'll have to deal with Godzilla. We might as well come up with a plan to take him out.
If they can mind control the space kaiju, why can't they mind control Godzilla and Anguirus?
God, speaking of mind control, this is the third separate race of aliens that has mind controlled King Ghidorah.
Because the other alien races didn't have issue with using their mind control telepathy on Godzilla, but these guys can't.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
I pity King Ghidorah because he's introduced as this planet-destroying threat that 3 kaiju have to team up to face, and then he gets mind-controlled by the Zillions, and then he gets mind-controlled by the Kilax in the far-off year of 1999, and now he's mind-controlled by the Nebulans. And it's like, how confusing must it be to be King Ghidorah, just constantly waking up in the middle of a fistfight?
I also have to say, I do think it is interesting how we have all of this, we can mind control kaiju, but at no point in time do we ever bring up, hey, can this technology just be used on humans? There's never any, like, explanation about why it only works on kaiju.
To be fair,
and it's not like...
in Destroy All Monsters, they did use mind control on humans. That was a big plot point.
That's true. That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, speaking of Destroy All Monsters, by the way, during this fight, we cut to stock footage from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Invasion of Astro Monster, and Destroy All Monsters. It is incredibly obvious whenever we do that, because all of those scenes have a blue sky with visible clouds, and all of Gigan's scenes have a completely black night sky. But hey, like I said, just slap a filter on it and turn down the exposure by 10%. Who's gonna notice?
Certainly not 2 podcasters in the 21st century.
Things are looking bleak for our kaiju heroes, so our human heroes come up with a plan. Partnering with the JSDF, the humans sneak multiple boxes of TNT into Godzilla Tower. Gengo also hangs up a life-size sketch of the human crew, because I guess he wanted to feel useful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so here's the actual plan.
It's not even in color.
It's not even in color.
It's a black and white.
It's a big white canvas.
Life-size drawing.
Yeah, the sketches of the crew.
It's like, presumably, well, because it's going to go up the elevator, and then the door opens, and then they fire at the drawings, which then, I mean, they're really just firing at the TNT.
Mm-hmm.
So presumably it's supposed to be like a fake target for the aliens, but it just seems kind of ridiculous. 'Cause, I mean, it's not even the Looney Tunes quality, because it's not even in color.
Yeah, it's literally just like a little manga sketch on this large canvas, and they're betting on the Nebulans seeing the sketch and firing on it immediately. So the bullets go through the sketch and into the boxes of TNT and blows everything up. And you know what? That's exactly what happens.
I don't understand why they didn't just light a fuse on the TNT or set a timer or have a remote detonation device or anything that we would normally use to activate TNT instead of relying on gunfire, which could probably activate TNT. But I think that's something that kind of happens more in the movies, actually, and maybe doesn't work as well in real life because you need an explosive, and the part where when the bullet is all like fiery and explosive is when it's in the gun. Like the whole thing about shooting a car to start a fire, it does not happen like that usually. Like you usually can't just shoot the engine block to start a fire. I mean, you can, but it's a lot harder than people give it credit for. Like I'm pretty sure Mythbusters did a whole thing where they shot like at the gas tank of a car to be like, oh yeah, and then it explodes or whatever, and it like didn't actually work that well because again, the bullet itself is not like a little fireball.
Yeah.
It's just a chunk of metal. The part where it goes happens in the gun.
What happened was they made the main character a manga artist and then forgot to give him an arc. And so they were like, well, okay, how is the manga artist going to be useful? How about he just does a little sketch of the Scooby Gang, and then that can trick the Nebulans into shooting TNT, I guess?
Like I said, he's a total loser.
I'm so mad because the logical ending to this movie would have been him drawing Gigan and presenting it to the comic editor and getting a job from there.
Yeah.
Like that would be the logical conclusion to his arc. And that just doesn't happen. I don't know why he's here.
I mean, I understand I assume that around this time manga is really taking off.
Oh yeah.
And that's why they're like, let's make this guy a manga artist because the children like manga. Totally fair. Absolutely get it. And honestly, like, I don't think that the humans need to have careers that directly relate, like, to the Godzilla of it all. You don't have to do that. He could just be some guy that kind of got caught up in everything still. But yeah, it seemed the drawing, the black and white manga drawing, these aliens have been, like, living with people. Again, it's not a very good distraction. It works.
Yeah, it works.
Because it has to, for the plot.
So Godzilla Tower blows up because the Nebulans saw a manga sketch and went, people, and then fired it and blew up the TNT. So the alien mind control is now disrupted. But Gigan and King Ghidorah hate Godzilla anyway, so nothing much changes on that front. But now that the Godzilla Tower laser is out of the way, Godzilla catches his second wind and wrestles Gigan. Godzilla finally remembers that he has an atomic breath and uses that to keep Gigan out of the sky. Anguirus also takes a sneaky opportunity to catch King Ghidorah from behind. Godzilla assists and grabs King Ghidorah's necks. After Anguirus smacks Ghidorah with his back spikes 3 times, Godzilla then judo flips King Ghidorah 3 times as well. 1 judo flip, boom. 2 judo flips, boom. 3 judo flips, boom.
1 for each head. But also, Anguirus just launching himself backwards to be a spiky beach ball of death is one of the other highlights of this movie. It is very funny. It's the only good thing about the fight scene. I was zoning out, and then Anguirus did that, and I was like, oh, hey.
Once again, Anguirus is surprisingly the best part of the movie.
Justice for Anguirus.
Justice for Anguirus. Beaten up, King Ghidorah and Gigan fly off into outer space, retreating to fight another day. The day is saved, and Godzilla and Anguirus swim back to Monster Island as the humans wave goodbye. The one piece of original music made for this movie plays here. He'll defeat the evil monsters. With his enormous body and droopy eyes, tomorrow he'll fight again. That's our Godzilla. Go get him. That's our Godzilla.
I mean, poetry.
End summary. That's all you need to say.
Did it win I assume it won a Grammy or an Oscar for Best Original Sound?
Song? I will say that out of all of the 70s Godzilla movies, this one made the most money.
Oh, no.
Not saying much, but it was technically the most successful. We have 3 more after this, so
wow. Okay.
Get ready for that.
Okay. 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 When will I get to watch a good movie again, Kevin?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm giving here's the thing. I also have not been having as much time to watch movies that are not this Godzilla franchise. So a lot of the movies I've been watching lately have just been these like kind of disappointing mid-century kaiju films.
Yeah. But that's the Godzilla journey. Because they're pumping out these movies year after year. And like I said, we have 3 more movies before we finally get a movie that's just so bad that they put a kibosh on Godzilla. And then Godzilla will return in 1984. So that one's going to be really cool. Speaking of that one, by the way. So fun fact. This movie is Haruo Nakajima's last movie as the Godzilla suit actor. In every movie from the 1954 original to this one, Haruo had some role as Godzilla. Funny enough, the suit actor for Hedorah and Gigan would eventually take on the role of Godzilla in the Heisei movies. And that actor is Kenpachiro Satsuma, who was then credited as Kengo Nakayama in Godzilla vs. Hedorah and Godzilla vs. Gigan. So, in a way, you can see those 2 movies as a sort of passing of the torch, as the suit actor for Godzilla would be fighting the future suit actor for Godzilla.
Well, that's fun.
The next 3 movies is a different person, but Kenpachiro Satsuma will be the Godzilla for, like, all of the Heisei period.
Okay.
After this movie, Haruo was like, I'm done. I said I was going to do this until I'm 50. I'm in my 40s. Nah, I'm done.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, the original crew is also gone at this point. Ishiro Honda went freelance. Eiji Tsuburaya is dead. And Haruo is just like, you know what? These aren't that fun to me anymore. And some even say that Eiji Tsuburaya, the special effects director, like his death was one of the big catalysts for Haruo being like, I'm done doing these. But, an impressive legacy, this guy.
Yeah. I mean, props to him. I felt like his movement, it was just something, the fight scenes just took, like, they were just too long, Yeah. They took up so much of the movie. There was not a break in the fight scenes. They were kind of slow. Yeah. And I don't know. A lot of the fight scenes we've talked about this before, about how I get bored more easily on the fight scenes than you do. So, it's a lower bar, I guess, for me to be like, I don't know, to check out or whatever on them. I'm looking forward to later movies. But I always, have been drawn more towards the human stories in these movies. Mm-hmm. And this one was quite lacking.
Oh, yeah.
And that is really saying something, because a lot of the human plot lines in these movies are lacking.
Well, we hated the main character.
Yeah.
The hippies and their brother weren't characters. And Tomoko was relevant for the beginning and then, helping out like the humans. Like, literally, if it was just Tomoko, this would be a much better movie, I think.
I feel like Tomoko could have handled this herself.
Tomoko could have carried a Godzilla movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that you're making these kaiju movies to be kaiju movies. I don't like when, I go see a monster movie of some kind and then it takes me, it's like a 2-hour movie and it takes an hour for a monster to even show up. I'm like, I paid for a monster movie. I'd like to see the monster sooner, please, perhaps.
That's why I love Pacific Rim, because you're 2 minutes into that movie and then a monster shows up.
Yeah, I don't need, when you, not to say, this isn't a universal thing across all monster movies. You don't really see Jaws that much in Jaws, and I still maintain Jaws is one of the best movies of the 20th century. It's really good. I love watching Jaws, I made Kevin go see it 4th of July weekend one year in theaters with me. Because I was like, what do you mean you've never seen Jaws? It's a great movie and you don't see Jaws a lot. However, that's because the human storylines in Jaws are really good. And the actual, like, center point of the movies. With these kaiju movies, you know, we just, there's no balance. Like, I want more of the human stories. And it takes them a little while, I guess, to kind of figure that out again. I mean, the original Godzilla, even, it was the human, like, stuff I cannot. I'm so incensed. It's the human POV that really grounds these movies and makes them emotional and makes you feels that impact. Like, it was the human stuff that was happening in the original Godzilla movie that made that movie hit so hard. And Godzilla versus King Kong, I maintain that is one of probably the second best of all of the ones that we've watched so far. I still really like that one.
Disagree, but continue.
Yeah, that's fair. We can agree to disagree. Because, like, the characters were fun and compelling in that one. Yeah. I enjoyed watching their antics. But, yeah, it's just been a little disappointing to have, once again, another gang of forgettable human characters that don't really do that much to contribute to the plot, actually. And I know that Godzilla is the superstar here, but I mean, I feel like we could just be doing a little bit more.
Well, and you bring up a good point where a lot of the really good Godzilla films, especially with the good human storylines, have humans that are either directly or thematically tied to the kaijus. Like Godzilla, Serizawa looks at Godzilla and sees science being turned into a deadly weapon, and he himself has to forego his research and his own life in order to reckon with that. Mm-hmm. In King Kong versus Godzilla, the characters are part of a TV station who are trying to utilize the deadliness of spectacle for their own gains. And in Mothra versus Godzilla, it is about active journalism in the face of corporate greed. Like, those movies are great because the human storylines have something to do with the kaiju fights going on. But here, what does Gengo have to do with anything? What does this manga artist have to do with Godzilla and Anguirus and Ghidorah and Gigan fighting at an amusement park that's apparently being used for world domination, but not really? It's dumb.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that the fights in this movie, like, they should be good, but they're so boring because their movements are so slow. And it's so apparent when we cut to stock footage from previous movies. Like, I got a whiplash at one point when they cut to, like, a fight scene from Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, because Godzilla is, like, putting up his dukes and, like, dodging out of the way and, like, throwing punches.
Yeah, there's, like, some footwork happening.
There's some footwork happening. He's boxing King Ghidorah. And then we cut back to the footage that they shot for this movie, and Ghidorah's wings aren't moving, and Godzilla's moving so slow to throw a punch.
Yeah.
It's so... Yeah.
Well, it's with these films outweighing the, like, thematically cohesive, well-written Godzilla movies, it makes sense how I think some of the pop culture opinion of Godzilla became that it's very silly. Mm-hmm. Because it has been in a way that is not... Like, sometimes it's fun, but a lot of the times, like I said, I mean, the first Godzilla movie is so good.
It's so good.
And it's just really disappointing to see the decay of the franchise because it's like the people that are in charge of it have sort of stopped caring about actually, like, making a good movie and, like, what makes a movie good and compelling, and have just been throwing together these disparate parts and filling out some sort of Mad Libs template of, okay, we have these humans, and then there's aliens, and the aliens make the kaiju fight, and the kaiju fight we have a smattering of kaiju, and they fight Godzilla, and there's some humans, and they don't really do anything, and then Godzilla wins, and that's the movie, you know?
And it's amazing, too, that the villains in this movie start the movie off with, we are going to try to commercialize monsters. It doesn't matter what the monsters are. We just need to pump some money into them to make some money for our amusement park. And it's like, hey, Toho, do you know that that's what you're doing here at this point? Just pumping out a Godzilla movie every year?
And then it doesn't make any sense because the amusement park actually has nothing to do with it. Their goal is to just, once again, dominate the Earth because they throw in a whole thing about how they've overpolluted their planet. So this group of aliens has left their overpolluted planet, which seems to still be alive. But they've left their overpolluted planet to now colonize Earth. And their plan to do that is very unclear. Once again, I don't understand. It shouldn't be that hard to come up with an alien invasion story and plan for Earth, because just look at hundreds of years of human history to see how humans have invaded other countries to exploit resources from those places.
Or use some of the aliens that you've already established are at war with Earth. Bring back the Zillions.
Exactly.
I mean, they do bring back the Zillions, not in the Showa era, but in a later movie. But I miss the Zillions after watching these cockroach nebulons or whatever.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing about the cockroach nebulons, because I feel like, I do want to say this, and I feel like at this point, listeners might be like, but wait. The concept of this alien race puppeting corpses as their disguise, sick as fuck.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about, like, why there's not any decay going on, but I assume alien technology. But I like, that's a cool ass invasion of the body snatchers style stuff. It's the yurts and animorphs. Like, I think it's cool. Well, I guess they're still alive in animorphs. But like the concept of these insectoid aliens being able to puppet corpses and needing to use corpses as a disguise on this planet, I think that's really cool. I think they could have done a lot more with it, and they didn't.
Here's the much better version of this movie. The Nebulans grab Gengo, and then they body snatch him. Oh no, our protagonist is dead, and now he's an alien. And then Tomoko has to come in and beat his ass.
Absolutely.
There we go. Climax of the movie.
Yeah, like, I think that could have been really cool. About, like, here's this loser guy
who did not appreciate his girlfriend
who's trying to help him. Yeah, he resents his girlfriend who's trying to get him a job. He doesn't seem to like her, but he won't break up with her because he's like a slacker and relies on her. He lacks ambition, etc. And then one day, suddenly, he's full of ambition. He acts a little different. He's excited about going to work at this new theme park he just got a job at, etc. And then Tomoko finds like cockroach droppings or something. I don't know. Like, there's weird cockroach shit that starts happening, and Tomoko realizes, oh my god, my boyfriend's been body snatched by aliens. And then she meets up with the hippies who are trying to find the lost brother who got, like, you know, lost at the amusement, or, you know, he's gone missing because he's working at the amusement park that her boyfriend is now working at, and he's acting really weird. And then, yeah, we have a whole thing where the aliens are going to use space kaiju to take over the world.
I mean, that could be another thing that she nags him about. It's like she goes to his apartment and there's cockroaches around. She's like, hey, I told you need to clean this place up.
Yeah.
There's cockroaches everywhere. Like a full Men in Black kind of thing.
And he's just like, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Glad we both went to the same place.
And it's really weird and creepy. It's like, you should try and do something about your cockroach problem. You know, I mean, the cockroaches are really hard to deal with once you got them. But, like, it's kind of weird that you're not even trying to hit them with raid. That's the weird part, is that you seem really chill with all of the cockroaches. And it's not like it's a pet situation where you keep Madagascar cockroaches or anything like that. Like, it's clearly a health issue.
So Kayla, what would you rate this movie?
I will give it, I don't know, like 1.5 stars.
I would also give it 1.5 stars.
Was it Destroy All Monsters that just happened that I gave it 0? What was the one I just gave 0 stars to?
All Monsters Attack was the one you gave 0 stars.
Okay. They all blur together for me. Yeah. All Monsters Attack was definitely a 0 stars. This is not a 0 star. It's 1.5. I just felt like there wasn't really that much. It felt like another slapdash one. And I know a lot of these are put together really quickly. Mm-hmm. But some of them are definitely put together a little more shoddily than others. And this one just felt, it was like, well, not, what was the one? Hold on. I gotta just bring up the list. What was remember,
Ebirah Horror
it
of the
was,
Deep, Son of Godzilla, Invasion of Astro
No,
Monster.
I think it was Invasion of Astro Monster.
Yeah.
Where was it Invasion of Astro Monster? Where we were just like, this feels like a bad version of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one just kind of feels like a bad version of a standard mid-century Godzilla movie. Like a standard Showa one. You know, it's not, so it's not offensively bad. Well, when I say it's like offensively bad, I mean, I couldn't summon up enough emotion about it to feel as strongly about it as I did Son of Godzilla or All Monsters Attack. So in a weird way, this gets a higher rating, but that's not a good thing because I was just kind of bored for most of it.
I'm just glad they made Gigan in this movie because Gigan is a cool kaiju.
Gigan's cool.
We'll see Gigan again in the next movie. So, Kayla, what is the next movie we'll be watching?
Next, we'll be watching Godzilla vs. Megalon, 1973. Be sure to watch the Japanese language version, not the English version. If you like this podcast, be sure to subscribe, give us a rating, leave a comment, and share with a friend. Follow us on social media. We got the links in the show notes. We also have a Ko-fi. You can support us there and get access to cool bonus content like extra episodes and access to the private Discord, where you can talk with other geeks about Godzilla and all things Digital Kaiju. Check it out. Gorilla Whale is a production of Digital Kaiju Studios. It is hosted and produced by Kevin Carpenter and Kayla Knudsen. Gorilla Whale has no official affiliation with Toho, Legendary, or any other companies associated with the Godzilla franchise. We thank you for watching along with us. Until next time, watch out for kaiju.
Watch out for kaiju. Right.